Hello friends, welcome to Unacademy. This is me, Dr. Sidharth Arora. This video will help you prepare an ultimate strategy to crack PSIR optional for UPSC Civil Services examination. In case you are amongst those who have chosen PSIR, Political Science International Relations, as your optional subject, you will have to look no further. This one video will suffice to help you how to crack this exam, how to actually approach this preparation, what are the nuances of PSIR optional, and everything else under the sun that you want to know about it. So unnecessarily PSIR या for that matter किसी भी optional को choose करके अगर आपने wrong preparation का method किया या कोई unnecessary PDF या unnecessary strategy को अपनाया, you are going to pay for that in the worst possible form, in the form of a very pathetic result in UPSC. तो इस स्ट्रैटेजी वीडियो को लास्ट तक देखिए. इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कि आप इस यूट्यूब वीडियो को एंटरटेनमेंट के फॉर्म में मत लीजिए. आई एम अज्यूमिंग दैट यू आर अ सीरियस यूपीएससी एस्पिरेंट, एंड एज अ सीरियस यूपीएससी एस्पिरेंट you must be knowing what to do and what not to do. So waste no single moment. एक notebook लेकर pay close attention to every word that I say in this next few minutes. Alongside that, there are certain offers from Unacademy. पहला offer जो Unacademy की तरफ से है वो है for those who are preparing for 26 and 27. 17,999 is the price that Unacademy is offering alongside 12 months of free extension. Please remember, this is a time-bound offer. 48 hours are left. You can take the opportunity to utilize the entire team of Unacademy, which are made up of experts of their own individual subjects, as this very reasonable price. Alongside that, for those who are taking the optional this year, एक UPSC optional का crash course is launched at an unbelievable price of 999 rupees, 999, which is like nothing. 15 PYQ sessions है, live answer writing, 4 full-length optional tests. If you would like to take this opportunity, don't forget to use my code SIDLIVE, SIDLIVE. ये मेरा referral code है. You will unlock huge discounts at Unacademy. Let's get to the core part of the video. Now, imagine this कि एक स्टूडेंट, एक लर्नर सोचता है that I'll become an IAS officer. मैं एक IPS ऑफिसर बनूंगा, एक IFS ऑफिसर बनूंगा, etc. या बनूंगी, as the case may be. Now he enters into an arena, एक battlefield, which is made up of the toughest possible syllabus, the lengthiest possible syllabus, and a competition of lakhs of aspirants who are highly motivated. ये जो syllabus है वो इतना लंबा चौड़ा है that the newspaper जिसमें UPSC उसका notification निकालता है, a large part of that newspaper का full page उसमें cover हो जाए. Sometimes मुझे ऐसा लगता है in a very sarcastic manner कि UPSC का syllabus का ही अलग से एक test किया जा सकता है. Now, however, again coming back to this boy or girl who is now preparing for this exam, he decides, he tells his parents कि मैं इस exam को दूंगा और मैं crack कर लूँगा, और he ventures into that without even knowing कि कौन से सब्जेक्ट को कितना पढ़ना है, कौन से टॉपिक्स को कितना एम्फेसाइज करना है, मल्टीपल चॉइस क्वेश्चंस पर कब तक पढ़ना है, ऑप्शनल में एक्चुअली एक्सपेक्टेशंस क्या है, इंटरव्यू में एक्चुअली क्या एक्सपेक्टेशंस है. ही बिलीव्स ऑन अ स्ट्रोक ऑफ लक. उसको ऐसा लगता है कि मैं तो कुछ मेजर ही हूँ, इन द सेंस कि मुझे तो सारा लक फैक्टर है, मैं एग्ज़ाम में जाऊँगा एंड सडनली द चिप्स विल स्टार्ट फॉलिंग माय वे. ऐसा होता नहीं है. सो सबसे पहले लेट मी एक्सप्लेन यू, एटलीस्ट इन सो फार एज ऑप्शनल इज कंसर्न, कि हो सकता है तुम्हें सब्जेक्ट आता हो, लेकिन एक्चुअली यूपीएससी के एग्जामिनर की एक्सपेक्टेशन क्या है. सो प्लीज़ ट्राई एंड अंडरस्टैंड कि यूपीएससी का एग्जामिनर की expectation क्या है. First, if you understand this, believe me, 80% of your job is done. Let me explain this to you. So, let us again picture a person. एक स्टूडेंट है, उसने ग्रेजुएशन किया है. आई एम जस्ट इमेजिनिंग फॉर अ वाइल कि उसने ग्रेजुएशन के फॉर दैट मैटर पोस्ट ग्रेजुएशन भी किया हो. लेट्स से उसने पॉलिटिकल साइंस में ग्रेजुएशन किया है. हाउएवर द कीवर्ड यहाँ पर यह है कि ग्रेजुएशन इज द वर्ड. जब उसने स्टडी किया, व्हेन ही वाज स्टडिंग फॉर पॉलिटिकल साइंस, ही वाज स्टडिंग विद the radar focused on the requirements of a college or a university exam. Despite the fact कि political science तुम्हारे college में भी था, it was in your university also, and that same political science is the focus of UPSC optional also. The key difference over here is that the UPSC examiner is expecting something entirely different from what your college and university was expecting. सबसे पहले absorb this thought. इस thought को absorb करो that you are studying the same subject in college or university and you are also studying the same subject for a UPSC level optional exam. However, the two of them are as different as day and night. In the case of an optional subject, when it is asked, the same subject, and this could be also spoken about geography, history, for that matter, any of the subjects that you have studied, या फिर are available on UPSC, optional में requirement is very, very different despite the fact कि both are dealing with the same subject. In this optional subject, we are not only interested in the information that you are providing, but also are you able to take that information and make a decision around it. Let me explain this to you. Why are you taking this UPSC exam? UPSC exam तुम दे ही क्यों रहे हो? हम इसलिए दे रहे हैं UPSC Civil Service Examination because you want to become an officer. Tomorrow you will be in a position of taking decisions. In the same breath, can I say कि why is UPSC asking you to take this exam? Yeah, what is UPSC testing you for? UPSC is also testing you to check whether you have officer-like qualities. Please try and understand this entire difference. And if you understand this difference and you figure out this difference, most of the things become very clear. Let's go to the college. In the college, the university examiner wants to know क्या तुम्हें particular topics याद है या नहीं याद है. Do you know communism और का Karl Marx के साथ क्या relationship है? That's one part of you understanding the subject. In case of optional, in case of UPSC, the examiner wants you to understand, or rather wants him to understand, that do you have that kind of an officer-like quality wherein knowing कि communism का Karl Marx से क्या लेना देना है, will you be able to take a decision as to क्या future में इंडिया की पॉलिसी कम्युनिस्ट वाली होनी चाहिए, क्या इंडिया की पॉलिसी सोशलिस्ट होनी चाहिए, क्या इंडिया की पॉलिसी कैपिटलिस्ट होनी चाहिए. कैन यू कंपेयर कैपिटलिज्म विद मार्क्सिज्म, कैन यू कंपेयर गांधीयन सोशलिज्म विद मार्क्सिज्म, which one will be best suited to India, which is that model which we started when we were becoming a newly formed republic, but going further, what should be our model of communism or socialism or capitalism as the case may be. So same information को you are now utilizing to make a decision. Now जब मैं तुम्हें decision लेने को बोलता हूँ, think about it. मैं तुम्हें डिसीजन लेने को बोलता हूं, डू यू रियलाइज दैट यू हैव टू बी वेरी शार्प इन दिस. इमेजिन यू कम टू मी एंड आई एम अ लॉयर और तुम मेरे पास एक प्रॉब्लम लेकर आए. तुम मुझे बोलते हो दैट द पुलिस इज आफ्टर मी, प्लीज सेव मी. एंड व्हाट डू आई डू? मैं तुम्हें पूरा का पूरा क्रिमिनल प्रोसीजर कोड का पूरा भारतीय नागरिक सुरक्षा संहिता पूरी बुक उठाकर तुम्हें दे देता हूँ. Oh, no, this is all the information that I know. Do you need the lawyer to do this? No. But do you need a law professor to do this? Yes. What do you need the lawyer to do this? Lawyer would be asked or expected कि on the basis of that information take a decision. हमें बताओ क्या करना चाहिए जिससे कि हम बच जाएं. This is called as sharp answering. दिस इज जो तुम्हें मैंने एक लॉ प्रोफेसर और प्रैक्टिसिंग लॉयर के बीच में डिफरेंस समझा दिया है, वही डिफरेंस है बिटवीन अ सब्जेक्ट व्हेन यू टेक इट अप एज अ पार्ट ऑफ ग्रेजुएशन एंड द सेम सब्जेक्ट व्हेन यू टेक इट अप एज अ पार्ट ऑफ यूपीएससी ऑप्शनल. So in UPSC optional, you have to be very sharp, and that is also going to translate into a very specific language. Because आप यहाँ पर you cannot drag your feet. You don't have to only fill up pages. Yes, you have to fill up pages. इसमें कोई doubt नहीं है, but not only fill up pages. So this is the first part that you should start thinking. This is a food for thought. Start thinking कि what is the difference in the two subjects. एक और important problem है that once you are preparing for graduation or when you are preparing for uni or university for that matter, you have about 3 years to prepare for a subject in bits and pieces. You compartmentalize, but you study. However, in case of an optional subject, even if you have no ideas, you start from a position of zero reference point. You don't have more than an year to prepare. Approximately, you have an year to prepare. And within that 1 year, you also have to be sure that you are not overdoing a particular subject, and similarly, you are not underdoing a particular subject. So, ये भी एक बड़ा major problem है, because you don't want to do research and development on that subject. You have to write an answer. And that is the reason I always say that previous year questions act as a very good lighthouse. It acts as a lighthouse in the sense it tells you what to study and what not to study. Please remember, I am not in the business of information overload. I am not in the business of research and development. I have an exam to crack. I hope you realize that with every passing minute and every word that comes out of my mouth, things are becoming clear to you that what is UPSC optional all about. If you are understanding this, then you must watch this video twice so that you really understand and discern the difference between a graduation subject and a graduation approach for a particular subject in contrast to the optional or for UPSC civil service examination. Another important part is that many students, learners have posed this question to me that I have not done a particular graduation. Yes, so my graduation was in science. Can I take PSIR optional? My answer is a loud and clear yes. My graduation subject is something to do in commerce. Can I take PSIR as an optional? My answer is yes. My graduation is in history. Can I take PSIR optional? Please be my guest. Yes. The point here is, the key word here is, you have to love the subject. You have to be interested in the subject. Answer this question very honestly. Majority of हम लोग, ज़्यादातर लोगों ने अपनी ग्रेजुएशन दो बेसिस पर लिया था. Okay, majority. There could be exceptions and I'm more than happy for them. God bless them. However, ज़्यादातर लोगों का प्रॉब्लम था, on that day मेरा स्कूल में या बोर्ड्स में मार्क्स जो आए थे for that particular college or university where I sought that admission, वो enough थे for a particular course that I got. मुझे उतने मार्क्स ही नहीं आए जितना मेरे को जिस ग्रेजुएशन में या जिस कॉलेज या यूनिवर्सिटी में चाहिए थे. And the second very important is parents. Parental and societal pressure में majority of us choose our graduation. So the joke that was said in a way, in a sarcastic way, it was a very tragic joke जो 3 Idiots movie में दिखाया गया था कि मेरा बच्चा डॉक्टर या इंजीनियर या CA etc बनेगा बनेगी. It is a it is more than a truism, is actually a very tragic truth. और हम लोग ये करते हैं, and I'm not blaming parents because उनके parents ने भी यही किया था और उनके parents ने भी यही किया था, and so on and so forth. We study according to not our what we like studying. We study according to what is either provided to us and is available or which is forced down our throat to study under कि यही पढ़ना अच्छा होता है. You have to recover from graduation. This is a golden opportunity for you to start pursuing your field of interest और वो तुम्हें एक IAS IPS officer भी बना देगा. So please remember, whatever be your graduation, if you like political science, international relations, be my guest. This door is open to you. I'll quickly run you through what is the UPSC Civil Services examination structure, timeline and syllabus. Although most of you are aware of it, but many of you are not, and those who are not, for the reason unknown to most of people like me who think कि अब तुम्हें पता नहीं है, you should ask, but for some reason they wouldn't ask. So I'll just quickly go through this entire process. Usually UPSC का exam calendar का notification starts coming around Feb of that year. May end or the beginning of June you would have prelims, right? This is generally a tentative form. And against around the month of September, right, mid-September, you will have mains examination. Prelims is a screening examination, the one which allows you to take mains. Please think about it. Prelims एक entry version है. आपने prelims crack नहीं किया, the story is over. Go back to point zero. Only if you crack prelims, if you make through the cutoff list, then you go to mains. Now, in the mains examination, you will have essay questions, you will have GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, right? So these are the different test papers. Now for today's discussion, we have an optional focus. Optional test papers are made up of two papers, one subject but two papers. So instance, for example, I am teaching PSIR. So PSIR will be divided into paper 1 and paper 2. Each of those papers will have section A and section B. So in short, all of these will summarize. It will come into about 500 marks weightage for the entire part. Please remember, prelims, even if you score 100%, it is not going to be added for the purpose of your ranking or your ultimate merit list. It is merely a screening examination. But every mark that you score during your mains as well as in your optional examination will have an effect on your ultimate ranking and ultimately whether you make it through the merit list and also the services that you will be offered. Now, what are the optional subjects that UPSC gives you a choice from within which you can choose your subject? So these are the core subjects, right? So agriculture, animal husbandry, anthro, botany, chemistry, civil engineering, and so on and so forth. You can have your pick, practically every subject under the sun, right? So this is what is, and today's video is all around political science and international relation, lovingly called by aspirants as PSIR. You could also choose from amongst literature subjects. So if you are good at literature, then these are the various choices that you could exercise from which you can take your optional subject. Before you become very happy with the large range of subjects that are made available to you, please remember all of these subjects are not to be studied merely cursorily. इसे ऊपर से पढ़ने वाले subjects नहीं होते हैं. You have to have postgraduate level and above level of understanding to be able to crack this exam or at least have a reasonable chance of cracking this exam. तो just because तुम लोगों ने थोड़े से poems of Hindi पढ़ लिया does not mean that you should be taking Hindi as your literature subject. You should really know Hindi literature if you want to crack this. And the same goes for any other subject. So these are the various subjects that you can choose from UPSC option. As I just told you, 500 marks out of the 1750 obviously I'm not talking of the interview, is the entire situation which is available or is at stake for relationship to PSIR optional, for that matter any optional that you choose. Take a breath, just take a breath. 500 marks are at stake. Do you realize you cannot pass this exam without cracking the optional? If you have wrapped your head around this thought, अगर आपने इस बारे को यकीन कर लिया कि नहीं क्रैक हो सकता, हम IAS ऑफिसर बन ही नहीं सकते विदाउट क्रैकिंग, विदाउट हैविंग अ ऑसम स्कोर एट ऑप्शनल, तो यहाँ पर एक इम्पॉर्टेंट सवाल ये आ जाता है कि डिस्पाइट दैट दिस इज सो इम्पॉर्टेंट, most of the aspirants are not, they are not ready, they do not prepare very seriously for optional. वो इसको लास्ट, दे लीव इट टू द 11th आवर कि नहीं जी हम तो जब पढ़ना होगा ना तब पढ़ लेंगे, essentially creating a 100% guarantee कि even if they make it through the prelims, even if they make it through GS 1, 2, 3, 4 in mains, just because of optional, they will not be able to make it through the merit list. तो ये पहले से decided है, practically ordained, practically planned. So ये एक बड़ी major tragedy है. और ask yourself this question: Are you preparing for this storm? या फिर you have just thrown caution to the wind and you are just taking your chances under the sun on a flip of a coin कि देखा जाएगा जी, अपने आप आ जाएगा, जब क्वेश्चन आएगा कार्ल मार्क्स पे आएगा हम लोग कुछ ना कुछ तो लेके लेंगे. That damn कुछ ना कुछ is not going to be enough. It's not going to cut the ice with the UPSC examiner. Make sure that you start preparing very seriously. So this entire रूपरेखा जो मैंने तुम्हें इसलिए बताई, and many of you would start taking ऑब्जेक्शन टू दिस ऑल्सो कि सर ये जल्दी से स्ट्रैटेजी बता दो, सो मच टाइम, यूट्यूब पर टाइम स्टैम्प्स लगाने लग जाते हैं कि देखो जी एक्चुअल वीडियो स्टार्ट्स फ्रॉम XYZ टाइम. दीज आर गॉड डैम इडियट्स, दे रियली डोंट अंडरस्टैंड कि इस एग्ज़ाम को समझने के लिए पहले इस एग्ज़ाम का पूरा कॉन्सेप्ट समझना पड़ेगा. दिस इज नॉट अ रट्टों का एग्ज़ाम कि रट लो जी किताबें खोल लो, डजंट वर्क दैट वे. सो फर्स्ट नाउ लेट अस take the first step and let's not be like this that even till the 11th hour aspirants have not decided firmly on their optional subject. Most of the aspirants have a very myopic vision of preparing seriously for mains when कि जी हम तब पढ़ना स्टार्ट करेंगे when या if we pass the prelims. और ये आपको ज़्यादातर सोशल मीडिया पे दिख जाएगा. और इसका एक बहुत बड़ा रीज़न very poor level of educators भी है. There are some very low level of educators especially on YouTube that you will see who have no idea and who have no gravity and who do not have any understanding of the subject. वो सिर्फ व्यूज करने के लिए स्पून फीड कर रहे हैं स्टूडेंट्स को और that ultimately is leading to their destruction. Don't do that. Let's try and understand each of this part. So सबसे पहले please remember start early or rather earliest. I am not asking you to take a knee-jerk reaction or a knee-jerk decision कि जी PSIR ना toppers लेते हैं, let me take it. Don't do that. मैं ये नहीं बोल रहा. Take a reasoned, well thought out decision. My position here is that you need at least 8 to 9 months, sometimes even year, to be reasonably able to absorb the subject. Absorption में टाइम लगता है my dear friends. प्रॉब्लम ये नहीं होता कि आपका सब्जेक्ट नहीं हो सकता, ऑब्वियसली हो सकता, बट द पॉइंट जो विच आई एम गोइंग टू डिमॉन्स्ट्रेट टुडे, वो जो अब्जॉर्प्शन होता है, वो जो कनेक्शन होता है, उसमें थोड़ा टाइम लगता है. सो यू नीड 8 to 9 months, समटाइम्स एन ईयर. सो स्टार्ट एट द अर्लीस्ट, लेकिन वरना भाग दौड़ हो जाएगी. ऑल्सो इम्पॉर्टेंट इज कि ये मत बोल देना, एंड प्लीज डोंट डू दिस टू योरसेल्फ कि सर आई एम वेरी गुड एट पॉलिटी एंड सिंस आई एम वेरी गुड एट पॉलिटी I will study it a bit more and a bit more will take you to PSIR or political science. This is absolutely crazy. It doesn't work this way. ऐसा चलता ही नहीं है. एंड दैट इज एक्चुअली जो तुम्हें लग रहा है दिस इज समथिंग सम कोई जोक मैंने तुम्हारे साथ शेयर कर दिया, बिलीव मी यू दैट इट इज अ वेरी फर्मली एम्बेडेड बिलीफ इन अ वास्ट मेजोरिटी ऑफ एस्पिरेंट्स. उनको ऐसा लगता है ज्योग्राफी हमको आता है, ज्योग्राफी हमको आता है तो थोड़ा सा और पढ़ेंगे तो हमारा ज्योग्राफी ऑप्शनल भी हो जाएगा. हिस्ट्री हमने पढ़ा है, हिस्ट्री थोड़ा सा और पढ़ेंगे तो हमारा हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल हो जाएगा, एंड सो ऑन एंड सो फोर्थ. डजंट वर्क दैट वे. प्लीज डोंट अंडरस्टैंड लाइक दिस. It is a landmine. You will be crushed to death. You will be blown out of the entire arena just on this belief. तो ये है ही नहीं. These are completely different. Another important part is that, and another part हो, ये मेरे ख्याल से सबने repeat किया है. Every well-meaning educator ये तुम्हारे साथ share करेगा कि please read the syllabus thoroughly. ये बड़ा ज़रूरी है. इट इज़ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड इनिशियली तुमको ये नहीं समझ में आता. सो व्हाट डू यू जस्ट रीड द सिलेबस वंस. ओके, एक बार आप सिलेबस रीड कर लेते हो एंड देन यू से कुछ समझ में तो आया नहीं, वी डिडंट अंडरस्टैंड, इतने सारे टॉपिक्स है. द आइडिया इज नॉट दिस. द आइडिया इज कि यू रीड द सिलेबस वंस, then you continue studying, then after 7 days then you read the syllabus again and see that whatever were you reading, is it fitting in the syllabus or not. This is not a one day exercise. This is a weekly exercise. You have to repeat this every 1 week, that this is what I studied in the last 7 days. Let me see if it is matching or it is actually fitting in the 4 walls of the syllabus or not. There is a reason why UPSC is specifying this syllabus, and that reason you will know. It will be an aha moment for all of you. So look at this. For instance, let's look at PSIR syllabus. So you will see why are they asking comparative politics? What is the influence of, why are they saying state in comparative politics? Why are we studying approaches to international relations? Why India and South Asia? We read about SARC. Yes, when we are studying international relations, generally for GS, we read about look east policy. We read about SARC, we read about United Nations system, we read about the nuclear doctrine. Why again? हम इसको एक और बार क्यों पढ़ रहे हैं? What is the interest of UPSC? क्यों पूछा जा रहा है वो? Think about it. This you will figure out. जैसे जैसे you will keep on studying, and then you go back to the syllabus and you realize, wow, this is the reason why UPSC mentioned it in the syllabus, because this is how I was studying. And sometimes when the two of them are not in sync, then also you will realize, oh, I'm actually either overdoing or underdoing. So you have to pay very close attention to both of these parts. So let me demonstrate. Both हो गया theory. Let me demonstrate. Right? So get ready. I will demonstrate. Suppose you are asked the question, and I'm not giving you an exact question, but something to do with foreign policy of India. I'm just assuming कि तुम्हें foreign policy of India से related कोई भी question आ गया. For the time being, since you are just beginning, I'm not even asking you a direct question, because then everybody will try and attempt this question, which I don't want to do that. So let's understand foreign policy. So क्यों पूछ रहा है? Think about it. UPSC क्यों पूछ रहा है? Say it may, the question may say, trace the evolution of foreign policy of India starting from Nehruvian non-alignment to today's strategic autonomy, something like that. Okay, critically comment that India's foreign policy is adapting, is now changing into strategic autonomy, but is it even possible? Something on those questions. But क्या पूछ रहे? Right? Why are they asking? So सबसे पहले, as an educator, मेरा ड्यूटी ये है to make you understand कि फॉरेन पॉलिसी ऑफ इंडिया पढ़ना ही क्यों है. फॉर दैट मैटर, दुनिया में ही क्यों फॉरेन पॉलिसी पढ़नी है. वाई डोंट वी अंडरस्टैंड एक दूसरे के साथ रिलेशनशिप्स जैसे हमारे होते हैं. मैं अपने दोस्त को मिलता हूँ तो क्या कोई पॉलिसी बना के मिलता हूँ? नो. तो फिर नहीं जी, मैं उसके साथ ऐसे ही बात करूँगा, ऐसा तो नहीं करते. तो वाई डज अ कंट्री नीड टू फॉर्म अ फॉरेन पॉलिसी? So first of all, you have to pay close attention to the definition. आराम से ध्यान से पढ़ो. So what is a foreign policy? A foreign policy is a set of pre-established strategies designed and implemented systematically to secure goals of national interest by managing a country's relationship with other nations. याद हो गया? अगर तुम कॉलेज में होते and you write this exactly like this, trust me, your examiner will happily give you 9 on 10. And essentially you crack this university gold medal or whatever exam, that is it. But now when this question is thrust upon you in case of optional, you will have to be thinking that tomorrow I am becoming an Indian Foreign Service officer. Think like an Indian Foreign Service officer, or think like you are a foreign secretary and you are now discussing or having an animated discussion with the powers to be, maybe the prime minister, maybe the foreign minister, and thinking on this part. So why would I form a foreign policy? The key word here is it is a set of pre-established strategies. एक कंट्री एक स्ट्रैटेजी को इस्टेब्लिश करके रखती है, एक तैयारी करके रखती है, एक जनरल फोर वॉल्स बना के रखती है, राइट, एक जनरल फोर वॉल्स, राइट. जैसे हमारी कंट्री ने बना के रखा हुआ है वसुधैव कुटुंबकम. सो व्हेन वी से वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, ये हमारी स्ट्रैटेजी है, ये हमारी प्री एस्टैब्लिश स्ट्रैटेजी है, ये हमारे डीएनए में है. दिस इज अ पार्ट ऑफ इट. वी कंसिडर द वर्ल्ड एज आवर family, one world, one earth, one policy, our family, and so on and so forth. When we say peaceful coexistence, this is our DNA, this is our pre-established strategy. So we will follow these four walls. अब जो भी करोगे तुम इन चार walls में करोगे. Now imagine, now for a while just imagine that you get a question tomorrow on something to do with China, right? Now the moment I use the word China, I say how does India, or what does India need to do with the rise of Chinese clout in South China Sea? और तुमने आंसर में लिखते लिखते क्या, you kind of become emotional and you say you must fight a war against China, or you must go against China, you must destroy China, or for that matter any other country. You know what marks are you going to fetch? You're going to fetch either a 0 or a big time negative. You know there's a possibility of negative also, because you suddenly deviated from these words, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, peaceful coexistence. हम लोग वॉर को कभी अपनी प्री डिटरमाइंड फॉरेन पॉलिसी बना ही नहीं सकते. As simple as that. So a foreign policy is a set of pre-established strategies, but it will be designed and implemented in a particular way to secure goals of national interest. Interest क्या है? Interest वो है जो मेरा interest है, मेरे देश का interest बढ़ना चाहिए. So the idea is international relations में we will be forming all of this part. So India's foreign policy जानते ही तुमको ये पहले idea होना चाहिए कि इंडिया का भी national interest है, but we'll have to go within the four walls of this. नाउ अब तुम्हें ऐसा लगेगा कि सर ये तो अलग अलग टाइम पे होगा, तो यू विल से दैट व्हेन नेहरू जी वाज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर, नेहरू जी वाज आल्सो ऑपरेटिंग विद इन दीज फोर वॉल्स, बट ही वाज मोर ऑफ एन आइडियलिस्ट. वो आइडियलिस्ट थे इन द सेंस व्हाट ऑट टू बी, राइट. उनको ऐसा विश्वास था कि मैं अच्छा हूं तो सामने वाला भी अच्छा होगा. हमारा पूरा का पूरा डिस्कशन ऑफ स्टेट ऑफ पैलेस्टाइन उस टाइम आइडियलिज्म पे था. प्लीज रिमेंबर, डोंट मेक एनी मिस्टेक, इवन ही वाज ऑपरेटिंग फ्रॉम द फोर वॉल्स ऑफ हमारी फॉरेन पॉलिसी. यू कैनॉट डिविएट फ्रॉम दैट पार्ट, वहां से नहीं निकल सकता. बट विद इन दैट फोर वॉल्स इफ आई क्रिएट अ ग्राफ, देन ही वॉज मोर ऑफ एन आइडियलिस्ट. उनका ज्यादा विचारधारा आइडियलिज्म था. आइडियलिज्म व्हाट ऑट टू बी, क्या होना चाहिए. एज अपोज टू दैट, आज की गवर्नमेंट, नरेंद्र मोदी साहब की सरकार इज मोर रियलिस्ट. रियलिज्म इसलिए हमने ऑपरेशन सिंदूर किया. लेकिन प्लीज रिमेंबर, even Modi Sarkar is going to operate within the four walls of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam and peaceful coexistence. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम लोग वॉर मॉन्गरर्स हो गए या नरेंद्र मोदी गवर्नमेंट वुड से let's kill or destroy a XYZ country who does not agree with us or who does not agree to our viewpoint. No, but we are realists in the sense that if you kill our people, innocent people at Pahalgam, तुम्हें जवाब मिलेगा. We will not be the first one to draw blood, but if you draw blood, then we won't spare you. तुम हमारे साथ आओगे और हम what is पर फैसला करेंगे. What was Nehru ji doing? What ought to be? क्या होना चाहिए? But remember that we are living under or we are living or operating within the four walls of the entire the DNA. So tomorrow some even more conditions occur. Say China creates problem. We would obviously give them a befitting reply. Our military will attack, or rather, military will defend our motherland. However, the key word here is our DNA remains the same. We will not become a rogue country. We will not become a country which is going to be a warmonger. So, realism and pragmatism, practicality, has been done or practiced in the past. So, Goa was a case in point. Bangladesh operations, Bangladesh war, that is the India-Pakistan war of 1971, was a classical example of realism. But it was few and far in between. Most of the times हम लोग idealist थे, बीच बीच में हम लोग realist होते हुए चलते गए. So, ये भी हमारे सारे principles है. अहिंसा, non-violence, working against apartheid as like in South Africa, support for decolonization, non-alignment, anti-colonialism, anti-racialism, non-violence, etc., and so. So if I draw a graph like this, and I make an idealism here, and I make realism here, we were earlier more of an idealist, now we are more of realist. So this is how things have changed. But please remember, the four walls remain the same. So सबसे पहले तुमको when you are writing an answer, this part should be absolutely clear कि हमारी policy है क्या. So this is how we do it. But don't stop here. Optional में आपके विचार do not matter. You need experts. You need scholars who would support your statement. So you can have many of these scholars, right, which I will share with you in my exam. The ancient Indian intellectual and philosophical tradition, Gandhi created the impression that non-violence was rooted in a unique way in Indian psyche. ऐसा support नहीं करोगे तो चलेगा नहीं. Now one would wonder कि ऐसा क्यों है कि Indians aggressive नहीं है, हम लोग दूसरी country में जाकर invasion नहीं करते. So now is a great opportunity for you to connect political science to other subjects. Let's do this. Let's look at geography. How can you connect political science to geography? You can. And if you write this in your answer, examiner will really be super impressed. And he's like, wow, man, this man is talking from a position of an intelligent person. Now imagine, India का जो geography था, right, or है rather, is south में, west में, big water bodies. North primarily big mountain regions, snow-clad mountains. Do you realize कि India already had a natural defense? Correct. Over the period of time, also the plains, हमारे पास rivers की कमी नहीं है, हमारे fertile lands हैं, agriculture हमारे पास है. Why would Indians think about this? Over the last hundreds of years, हम बाहर क्यों जाएंगे? So हम लोग generally non-aggressive हो गए, but we were having always a defensive setup. हमारी armies were not prepared for an invasion, but we were ready to face invaders. ये gradually हमारे mindset में आ गया. Now imagine you are writing this in your examination. how impressed would be the examiner कि see he has connected this answer to geography. Similarly, so Napoleon used to say, now again invade this. So Napoleon का quote था, geography is destiny. You know, Napoleon, the French emperor, was a very powerful emperor with a very powerful French army. It was an invading army, but वो रशिया जाके collapse हो गया. Why? Because Russia का geography did not support an invasion. It is, they say कि there is a winter general, General Winter also in Russia. So he said geography is destiny. In a way, you have to connect one subject to political science. So पूरा का पूरा strategy is now connected to political science. So this is, so you can have many of these parts. So for the time being, let's try and understand this part. Now, let's connect this to Indian scholars also. Let's say Shiv Shankar Menon. Shiv Shankar Menon says, political division of South Asia is artificial. Obviously. Partition as an event in history, please understand. Again, now I'm venturing into the territory of history. Partition as an event in history creates a very major influence on our foreign policy. One would be a fool and absolutely uninformed if we do not discount for the effect of partition on the geography and the political science and the international relation of the subcontinent. So, अचानक we have connected history to political science. Conflicts are very common in South Asian regions. Why? Because these are artificial creations. Britishers ने अपना divide and rule policy को continue करने के लिए partition की हवा आग को हवा दिया so that ये हो, and we have an enemy kind of a country always around us. So there were changing concept because there are pawns. Pakistan is acting like a pawn. Pakistan एक मोहरे की तरह काम कर रहा है of China and the other powers so that India को problem हो जाए. So the point here is, what would Morgenthau say? कि national interest is static as well as dynamic. Imagine for a while कि पाकिस्तान के पास nuclear bomb ना होता. Do you realize that we would have been talking and approaching the Pakistan problem in a very different light? But है, अब मैं क्या करूं? So now that same problem would now be looked at in a very dynamic form. This should also be approached in a way so that it has an influence on your foreign policy. So what did Modi ji say? Modi ji said that let's not think on some other angle. We are not in fighting mode with another country, but we will always have congruence of interest. क्यों ना मिल के करें? Let's form interest. You know, मेरी किसी से लड़ाई होके क्या फायदा होगा? कोई फायदा नहीं. अगर मेरा दोस्ती करके काम चलता है, let me do it that way. So this reminds me of Henry Kissinger. Henry Kissinger from United States of America, who was the then foreign minister or the Secretary of State, he said that America has no permanent friends and no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. This is actually what is called as realpolitik. So the idea is, do we really need alliances like NAM, or do we need congruence of interest? So the point here is, you have now given several food for thought for the examiner, and you have told the examiner that you understand that geography plays a role, history plays a role, dynamics play a role. इंडिया का इस टाइम पर इकोनॉमिक क्लाउड क्या है, मिलिट्री क्लाउड क्या है, what is the political stability of India, and so many things come together to form what is called as foreign policy. So the examiner gets impressed that this is not रट के आने वाला, ये वो student है who is well read, who has understood the subject, and that is why he is writing an answer. Do you realize this is a difference between how you approach a question at the level of college or university vis-a-vis the approach in an optional examination? So what I started out this entire discussion is where I'm going to end this discussion. Before you start your preparation, you should think how you should prepare. And the one way that you can do it is that you write, write, and write. Keep writing. This is very important. If you keep writing, you will have more clarity of thoughts, your language will improve. You will also know whether you are making any mistakes. When you're writing, you suddenly realize that what I started out and where I'm ending, does it have any connection or not? Does it make sense or not? Is it logical or not? And please remember, UPSC, and this is something that I've been repeating so often that I've kind of gotten bored with this. UPSC is not based upon facts. UPSC is based upon connection of facts and connections of information. UPSC का examiner impress ही सिर्फ connection से होता है. You were able to connect political science to current events, political science to geography, political science to economics, political science to military, political science to technology, political science to history and what not. जितना ज़्यादा connection, उतना ज़्यादा marks. और ये हो नहीं सकता by so-called the pathetic kind of preparation जो ज़्यादातर students करते हैं. You need a professional to approach this part, right? Yes, there are several subjects which will contribute to your preparation. However, you will still have to do this. As a bonus, जो कि बहुत सारे लोगों की तमन्ना होगी, I am giving you the book recommendations in case you are preparing for PSIR optional. Now, these are only recommendations. I would never suggest you to drown yourself in books. You can pause this video. Is photographic screenshot ले लो. These are all the books that you may need for PSIR. I would say less is more rather than more is more. इसको कम करना तुम्हारा फर्ज है and that would be better serving your purpose rather than more of that. So this is how to use this. Brainstorm. आपको बहुत सारी चीज़ें इसका भी फ़ायदा हो जाएगा. If you do PSIR optional, and I'm not telling you the other side of the story, I'm not saying कि पॉलिटी को extended version करोगे तो political science better हो जाएगा. No. But if you study PSIR, then your polity will become better. Actually, political science is the root, the stem of which are polity branches and leaves of the subject. So if you understand, for example, equality is the absence of privileges. This is actually something which is stemming from political science. तो तुम्हारा डबल रोल हो जाएगा. बट प्लीज़ डोंट exaggerate this कि मैं पॉलिटी अच्छे से कर लूँगा तो पॉलिटिकल साइंस आ जाएगा. दैट डजंट वर्क इन दैट वे. आई होप यू हैव अंडरस्टूड. मैं इसको ज़्यादा टाइम वेस्ट नहीं करना चाहूँगा. मैं जो बताना चाहता हूँ, समझदार को ये वीडियो बहुत केयरफुली समझ में आ जाएगा, और जिसको नहीं समझ में आ जाएगा, ही विल अगेन ट्राई एंड टेक योर चांसेस अंडर द सन, विच एसेंशियली विल क्रिएट फेलियर फॉर हिम. सोच समझ के इसका फैसला करो. माई न्यू PSIR बैचेस आर स्टार्टिंग सून and don't waste your time anymore. I hope you have enjoyed this. In the words of Unacademy, let's crack it. Until next time, God bless. Thank you and Jai Hind.